So, good morning. No, wait, good afternoon. October surprise. Yeah, so I want to give an update on my dog. She has definitely increased in her energy. She's acting more like a toddler. Before, she was acting like a baby, just kind of slow stepping everywhere. Now she's getting into stuff. She is purposely stepping into things, purposely messing with my husband's fishing stuff or getting caught up in the fishing line, or she's just walking on stuff. And so, yeah. So my dog right now is acting like a toddler, and then also she is, her appetite is increasing, her energy is increasing, there's more pep in her step. Even her poop, it still smells like life, like semen, which is really interesting because the entity that's under her carriage, like under her belly, is now disappearing. It's getting softer, and the body is working it out of the system. And so, yeah, we are in October. It is when there's a lot of change that happens. That's the fall of society, the fall, autumn, equinox. It is when it is, yeah, like a death with also a rebirth, but with that death or destruction comes winter, death, and then, yeah, spring is rebirth. And so right now, there's a lot of things going on that that are happening right now, and a lot of things in the past happened around September, October, November. Okay, and there's been a lot of significant events happening in the fall. And so now we are figuring out that children, immature hydra, are the destruction of our society and of people. And even though children are great and they're cute and all of that, children in the body, as far as immature B cells or lymphoma, are the root of all cancer disease and chronic illness and autoimmune disorders. And the lack of maturity in our society has then caused adult children to now destroy society. And so when you think of human sacrifice, you think of children being sacrificed. But even though we don't look at adults as children, the baby hydra in their body are the children, and the person is taken over by them. And so in a lot of ways, human sacrifice is like child sacrifice, because you are run by children in your body, which is why then Imhotep, who is 20 years old, is revered to be the first doctor, because he figured out how to have the children cannibalize the parents. That's why it is the children who are destroying the parents, the humans, all of society, and they are the start of all disease. And so when you think about it, okay, currently all humans and domesticated animals, with a few exceptions, are defined by living in a thermodynamically closed system, which means that entropy or senescence becomes the inevitable death of the whole human, or the ultimate parent cell. But how do we allow the whole human to die from infection when it takes years for the whole human to become cannibalized by the unknown entity? Well, the entity is not unknown as we think. It is the immature hydra, also known as B-cell lymphoma or cancer, or immature hydra, the microbes who run your whole immune system or your whole human body, directed by the immune system. And so it's the children that are in your body that are eating up the parents and the parent cells. And so every time now, how does that happen? Because you're taking antibiotics. You're causing the body to develop infection. How? Well, by blunt force trauma, or because that also triggers senescence, it triggers reproduction. When you cut yourself by mistake, or you do things like get tattoos or other things to disfigure your body, and so it causes then immature cells to develop, okay, because your whole body is hydra. It's hydratic, okay? And so then it's the children who are exponentially reproducing, because every single time the parent cells feel pain, what do? They take an antibiotic, which is a negative, on a probiotic, which is a positive. Positive, negative equals a negative, which is a child. That child is taken away from the body, and that's why positive times a negative is a negative, because that negative is taken away from the parent. You just developed an offspring. You just fragmented yourself. And so now we are finding out that even in Ohio right now, there's died suddenly. There's people have died suddenly. It's happening here in Ohio, in the Northeast, in now very close to my circle of people. One person's wife of someone my husband knows died suddenly. Twitter just became right wing. That's where all the died suddenly crowds are going to go and galvanize, and they're going to say everything under the sun. Everything that was censored is now going to be exposed on the Twitter. This isn't organic, everybody. This is all part of the turning. Now, the crazy thing, which I didn't even anticipate, was the fact that my jelly juice was developed in 2016. We're in an 80-year cycle in the fourth turning, lasting 20 years. I am in the fourth turning. My protocol was developed 4 years before 4 years before 2020 or 2019. You could say 2019 was the kickoff, and 2020 was then second wave or the first wave or whatever you want to call it. But when you look at 1776 and you add 18 or 80, you get 1856, which is 4 years before 1860, which is the start of the Civil War. And then 1860, 1856 plus then 80 is like 1936. And that's 4 years before 1940, and that's like, World War II. When did World War II start? I gotta figure it out. Hold on. When did World War II start? Okay. 1939 to 1945. So 1939. So 1936, 7, 8, 9, that's 3 years before then the kickoff to World War II. And so relative to where you start from, you add 80 years, that's when new innovation happens from that whole turning. I mean, because every turning, every 20 years, it's a new, it's what you call a 20-year period of going into new advancement, new developments. And it seems that October is when new developments happen. October surprise is obviously new information coming out with the president. But that, for me, is not really relevant. I mean, it is, but it's not like I don't really adopt now the politics. Now, when you think about it, October is when cold and flu season happen. That's when the frequencies are up. People are making really amazing decisions, okay? And we're also going to have a lot of people who are going to be dying suddenly during this time. A lot of people. It's already happening. The kickoff was in July, when you think about it, of the frequencies. And so that's when, of course, I had my co-infection, where then everything else in my body came to surface, and I was like dead, and I actually got reborn when you think about it. Not like born again Christian type of thing, but I'm talking about if you watch my last video, I felt like I was death warmed over, and then I came back to life by eating and drinking water and getting my strength up, because I had to release so much of the old world out of me that was developed from all the different antibiotics and remedies and tinctures that caused so much immature hydra in my body. And that's what took over my whole body for many years. And that's what was plaguing me for many years, was the children in my body that were colonizing different parts, causing the ringing in my ears, causing so many different things, causing all of the different symptoms. And so within the last 6 years, ever since 2016, was when my body was releasing all the little demons, which are the little children. And so that's why children are not the future. The adults, the parents, are the future. And a child could be a parent if that child takes care of his immune system or her immune system effectively. But what's going to happen is if parents don't fucking get it together, died suddenly is going to happen to not only them, but their children, because in this environment with an old world immune system who has not upgraded to the current level of the environment, they won't be able to handle the new frequencies because they already have an overabundance of immature cells in their body that are going to replicate and either cannibalize them and cause them to be so emaciated and not enough substance, or they become so obese that they are overly insulated and then their vital organs cease functioning. And so this is, we are in such an amazing time, and I didn't realize to what extent even the Jilly Juice was all part of this. Not that I planned it, no, of course not. But I was raised in a Jewish household. Even when I wrote those quotes, it turned into like, the Star of David. And so there is definitely something to be said for sacred geometry, numbers, symbols, obviously physics, chemistry, math, English, and understanding the word like therapy. If you break it apart, it's the rapey. And that is that is when a person gets penetrated by something that causes reproduction, and they are pregnant microbially, and then potentially become pregnant in the uterus. Because yes, infection, disease, cancer, disease, chronic illness, autoimmune disorders, all diseases lead to fertility, and it could also potentially lead to also a baby. And so all of us humans came from cancer. All of us humans came from disease. That's why we have such an abundance of disease in the population at some point. Because nobody in the population has redirected their immune system to become one of a mature adult. We have stayed children our whole lives, and we have died children. Not myself, but our predecessors were born children, and they died as children, and they just aged out. Now we're in a new turning. Now we're in a new world where it's about the mature adults that are going to lead society, not the children anymore. The children are going to the wayside, and that's what this died suddenly is all about. The children going to the wayside. And so parents, you need to now grow the fuck up. Literally, parents. You need to grow up, mature, and you need to teach your children how to grow up and mature so they don't become a casualty in this new turning. Like, I'm so serious. I am so serious as a heart attack. And so now I finally have my book. I talked to my publisher today, and I'm like, I sent him a little excerpt of one of my pages, and he's like, oh shit, that's why it's taken you 2 years to write this. Yeah, because I've had to evolve. I've had to evolve every single week, every single month, every single year. I've had to take my arguments and go and redevise them, and I had to go and recalibrate. I had to go and look back and say, oh shit, I made a mistake here, I made a mistake there. Oh, and here, okay, let me go and redo this and redo that. Let me just throw this out and keep rewriting my introduction, keep rewriting until I finally get it to 100%. And so when he read my first, few paragraphs of what I sort of read earlier today, he was like, oh, okay. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to now probably I'll probably get this book written now, finally, in probably a week. Okay? Because now I know where it all came from. The children eat the parents, and that's why there is nobody mature in our society, because the children keep eating and cannibalizing the parents. That's why people die. The parents die, and their kids are the next generation. If the parents stayed alive indefinitely, the kids will learn how to stay alive indefinitely, and you wouldn't have such rampant chaos in our society and rampant disease, because children and immature cells equal disease, cancer, chronic illness, autoimmune disorders, everything unstable under the sun. And we have 7.9 billion children on this planet, and probably less than a fraction have even the possibility to mature at this point. I would say a very small few of the JJ crowd will actually mature and see this through. A very small percentage. I would say maybe 3 people, 4 people, maybe 5 people in even my group out of 363 people might actually survive this purge, this turning. What is that? Let me see. If I say, let me see. I'll do a little bit of math here. I'm not a fan of math because math can be such a pain in my ass sometimes. But what is it? 360 people, right? 5 divided by 363 is what percentage? This is where I gotta do the percentage shit. I'm sure some of you can figure it out, but I'm using my calculator. I don't care. Calculator. I do it on my phone, but here we go. Calculator app. And so 5 divided by 360 and hit percentage. 3%. Oh, okay. 3%. That's actually not bad. 3.6. So 3% of the world. So what's 3% of, what is that? Times 7.9. Let's say 7 billion. 369. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 7 million. 1, 2, 3. $9 million, 7. Maybe 9 billion. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out the math behind what percentage of the world will actually mature. And I don't know. I could do all the math, but at this point, my brain is fried. It's all math percentages, but you think I should know this, but I don't care. So at this point, yeah, not many people. 3% out of my group might actually survive this. 3% might. Yeah, 3. Yeah, 3.6%. 5 people. Yeah, that's crazy. 5 out of 360. Assuming that, yeah. So I'm going to go, but I needed to say this, that, yeah, the children are cannibalizing the parents. And right now, and the children are cannibalizing the parent cells in the body. And so, yeah, the Ouroboros is the children eating the parents. That ought to paint a really crazy picture. And so if you want to save yourself, parents, set your kids free. And once they're of age, and stop trying to save them. Because while you're trying to save your children from themselves, they are actually eating you alive. Just look at your friends and family. Look how many kids are still feeding off of mommy and daddy. Look how many grandkids are feeding off of grandma and mommy and daddy. And then you look at adult children who don't grow up. Adult children who are still sucking off the teat of mommy and daddy. And then you see that's exactly what goes on. The children cannibalize the parents. And that's what causes the parents to have cancer, disease, and chronic illness, because they're eaten alive by the children in their body and in real life. So if you want to save yourself, parents, once your kids become of age, set them free, let them sink or swim, because what are you going to do? You can't save them from everything. And right now, between 1 and 18, you better teach them how to be self-sufficient, because you're going to have to save yourself in this process of this turning. You're going to have to teach them to be so self-sufficient and be guided directly by you taking care of yourself. Because if you take care of yourself, parents, the kids will learn how to take care of themselves too. And they would still get your guidance because you're all living under the same roof. But they can go and get their own food out of their fridge, cook their own meals. They can go do their own laundry. They can go and, figure out how to get to school by you driving them if you have to. I mean, you want to be safe. But when it's in the household, you teach your freaking kids how to be independent. Because if you have to take a nap, when you're purging out the demons and you're tired as hell, and you can't babysit them 24 fucking 7 in the house, if they're that immature, where you have to watch them 24/7, they're going to cannibalize you. And so those kids with special needs, yeah, that's going to suck. They're going to cannibalize the parents, because the parents are going to have to be up 24/7 all the time. And they can't sleep in. They have to, they got to be up for that kid, because that kid run around the house with locks that unless you lock the house inside and you completely proof the whole house from anything, parents with kids with special needs, they will cannibalize you. I mean, that's the reality of it. And so you want to teach your kids to be self-sufficient so you can fucking survive, mom and dad. If you don't, you're seeing the parents, they're losing hella weight. The kids are losing hella weight because the parents are losing hella weight. When the parents are all about looking skinny and looking cute and looking like this, and then the kids who are like 7, 8 years old, they're losing hella weight, trying to be on diets and exercise themselves to death. In this environment, it's deadly for both the parent and the child. This is reality. Why parents die? Because they allowed their children to cannibalize them. That's what it comes down to. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. And you see it all over society. You see it all over society. Oh my God. The best thing the parent can do is walk away from their kids when they become old enough to be on their own. That's the best thing the parent can do. Or else the parent's going to be the human sacrifice, and so will the kid, because the kid will not know how to fucking function on their own. Because the parent couldn't teach them that, and the parent couldn't function on their own. Okay. I'm writing this right now, because I just figured that out. Well, figured out why people die. They allowed the immature hydra cannibalize the parent hydra, and the human is the parent, and the immature cells in the body cannibalize the human. No different than the kids in our society cannibalizing their own parents, and the parents sacrificing their body, their mind, and their spirit, dying for their child. And so, in essence, the children cannibalize their parents. Cannibalize their parents. And the parents let them. So, what happens in the body when immature B-cell lymphoma is ravaging the human, children are doing the same thing to their own parents, causing their parents cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and do not even know it. This is insane. So, parents, if you want to save yourself, teach your kids to be self-sufficient. Appropriately in this day and age, because now more than ever, kids will be cannibalizing their parents now more than ever. And yeah, the special needs kids will be harder to teach self-sufficiency. So the best thing my parents did was set me free. That was the best fucking thing. And there you go. And so how many parents out there who are doting on their children left and right are going to be the human sacrifice, and so will their kids. They will both go down with the ship together. And that's exactly what's going on. The system, this new turning, is destroying many families. And you're going to watch it happen systematically. Because, again, how many parents will not relinquish their hold on their kids and vice versa? It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. Bye.